WrestleZone. What's up, everybody? I'm Kevin Kellam, coming to you from the NBC Tower in downtown Chicago. A little late today, but it's still the WrestleZone day. Talking about the wrestle news on WWE. All Elite, Ring of Honor, and the rest. We're into all of it, baby. A lot to get into. A lot going on as we're coming to you guys right before SmackDown tonight. Here's the latest we're getting backstage at WrestleZone.com. We don't have anyone backstage, but the news that we're hearing is there's some interesting names there and not there. Rowan, who has been out, a member of the Bludgeon Brothers tag team, has been out of action for quite some time. He apparently is backstage tonight at SmackDown. We do know that Mike Kanellis and Maria Kanellis are not there, even though a lot of talent on that side of the roster tends to be there even when they're not used. They're not there. That lines up with some reporting that we've had last week that's kind of conflicted about them asking for the release. This is a part of a wave of people that reportedly asked for releases. And it's kind of an interesting time. A lot of people thinking some people are going to jump over to All Elite Wrestling, but none of that has been confirmed. A lot of that talk is over on the Raw side with a team that was in action and featured prominently in a segment with Vince McMahon last night. That would be the Revival. Been reports being going around, including the Wrestling Observer newsletter saying that they asked for their release at last week's Raw. And apparently that has not been granted. There's no clear indication of how long their deals the Revival have with WWE. But the speculation is that they would jump over to All Elite Wrestling, where they've bantered back and forth on Twitter with various different people. So let's get right into it here. Yes, Raw's build, Carl Barma, faithful fan, saying the build-up for Balor versus Lesnar was brilliant. What did you guys think of Raw last night? I thought it was a great episode. I thought it did a lot of really good hype. It was interesting that they went with Balor and Brock and Braun and the their Universal title scene to start the show. I thought that was interesting. It reminded me of Saturday Night's main event, where they would open up with the big angle, and as the show went on, you kind of got other things, and then they end with something big. And we got some hype for the Ronda Rousey match. So overall, pretty fun. Not an amazing barn burner episode of Raw, but a lot of fun things that made you feel like, ooh, some advancements here, some new things, some fresh takes on old performers. I mentioned the Revival. They had a very fun match. They had a very, very fun match with Kurt Hawkins as a special guest referee, who would constantly call them out on all the different, shenanigans they were trying to pull. The reformation of the Major Brothers, the Major Broskis. I was into that. I thought that was cool. Finn Balor going at it with Brock Lesnar and Braun and looking strong. Braun looking real desperate, looking real thirsty to get himself back in that world title picture, as if Finn Balor hasn't taken his spot already. So a lot of things going on there. Brandon Herrera saying, what about the reformation of Zack and Curtis? I was into it. As I mentioned, I think it's a good idea. I think Raw needs fresh tag teams. You have guys that are lower down the card. People talking about how Zack Ryder was another guy that people say, oh, you should get out. Fans were tweeting him, Zack, you should leave. You haven't been on Raw all year. And he tweeted about that. He had not had a singles match on Raw all year long. And then they throw him in like a battle royal or something on the last one of 2018. So then he comes to the save for his boy Curtis. They have a podcast together about action figures and stuff, and they have the web show on WWE's YouTube channel. Figure It Out. Pretty entertaining. But I would say it's interesting. I like that they're paired together. They've worked together as a tag team prior. Why not? You got the guys there. Do something with them. And if WWE is going to be more focused now, they talked about this like a month ago. It looks like they're doing that. Also of note, over at WrestleZone, we are going to go with some photos and posts that we've seen from inside Chase Field, and we will have that up some point in the next 24 hours or so. It looks pretty cool. Looks like they're going to have a really big setup for this Sunday. Royal Rumble. So a lot of hype out of Raw, a lot of hype on tonight's SmackDown. We're going to get Rey Mysterio versus Andrade, just Andrade, and a 2 out of 3 falls match. Vince McMahon will also be on the show. So a lot to go over there. Terrell Diggs texting here says, what do you think about Ronda and her first loss last night, a match against Sasha Banks and Bayley? Well, it was a loss, but she didn't take the pinfall. She didn't tap out. It was Ronda Rousey tagging with Natalya against the boss hug connection of Sasha Banks and Bayley. Sasha Banks and Ronda will compete this Sunday in a Raw women's tag match. I thought it was a good match. It was fair. There was some botcheroonies in it, but a fun match. Nothing remarkable. I don't think a match we'll be talking about in 2 weeks, but it served the purpose of making Sasha look fired up and mean. Ronda had a promo that had some bumpiness to it right before she went up to the ring, but I like that they're doing promos like right before people go to the ring. I think that's when they're revved up. That looks very sports, very oriented, like, hey, you're about to go back in from halftime or something like that. I like that. I thought it was good presentation, but a little bumpiness. But Ronda, you have to remember, has just started wrestling like a year or two ago, and she's taken to it very, very well. And I'm excited for the intensity that Sasha can bring out of her. I'm looking forward to that match a little bit more than people think. People bringing up the fast food Royal Rumble. Don't worry, we're going to talk about that. That's coming up. That's going to be our special streaming pre-party for the Royal Rumble this Sunday afternoon. More about that. Let's jump right into more of your questions here, guys. Jason Rodon saying, what do you think about Becky losing to Asuka and Becky entering the men's Royal Rumble as the man? Well, I don't see her entering the men's Royal Rumble. I see her entering the women's Royal Rumble. A lot of people theorize that that's the thing they should do, but they also have not teased that. You know, they've really stuck to Becky versus Asuka. But it does seem like something that everyone's predicting and they want to see happen. I was asked about John Cena. Michael Loffe texting here. Well, the report that we're getting from the Meltzers is that the injury that he suffered, they said it was an ankle injury, was just an injury, and that this was just done as a storyline example to get John Cena out of the picture for the Royal Rumble this Sunday. He's filming a movie. He has some other obligations outside of WWE. And they theorized that it looked like Lars Sullivan was set to debut and start a program with him, injure him, get him out of the Rumble, and then, get into a fracas with him later on. Fracas, one of my favorite words. But it doesn't appear like that's going to be the case. No John Cena at the Royal Rumble. Does that lessen the Royal Rumble? No, I think the Royal Rumble has a lot of hot hands in it. Sean Ridge texting in saying, Kevin, I called it last night. Lacey Evans to debut the Women's Rumble. How far can she go? I thought she had a really strong debut in terms of all the new people that have been called up from NXT that they've been just introducing in non-wrestling roles. I thought she had the most prominent debut. She came out, she had personality, she was featured, she had a knockout dress, she nailed the character, and also did it with Alexa Bliss, who is a huge star for WWE. And right there took the wind out of Alexa Bliss's sails, who says she's going to be back in the ring after being out of action for a couple months. So I thought it was a strong debut for her on Raw this week. Michael texting in here said, Finn versus Drew versus Brock versus Braun at WrestleMania 35. Who knows? Drew McIntyre is positioned to do something big this year. I think he's, I wouldn't call him a sleeper guy. Some people think he could win the Royal Rumble. And it would be a real shocker if he did. And he's also talked about doing it. He's been in the mix with Cena and Balor and all these other guys. And it does seem like he'll have a big 2019. Could it start with a Rumble win this Sunday in Arizona? We'll find out. Mike Gertie saying, I love the aggressiveness last night from Sasha and Rousey. Very excited for their match. Sir Darius Howard. Sir Darius writes a paragraph here. Would you be for Finn losing at the Rumble, but barely, but he loses the Rumble after being you're just booking a whole angle there. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I think Finn Balor can win in the eyes of many fans just by having a good match with Brock Lesnar. I've said this before on the show, and I'll say it again. You don't need to beat Brock Lesnar to win. Okay, I think wins and losses matter, but performances matter as well. Brock Lesnar, I feel, is not losing this title, but could lose some of the luster if someone, a mortal man, just as Finn Balor, the speed killer, could go in there and actually test him the same way Daniel Bryan did. I think that's interesting. I also like the pairing and the physicality between them when Braun threw Balor off the top rope, caught him, did a suplex right off the floor. I thought that was really interesting. And it showed a physical chemistry between Brock and Balor that I don't think we've seen with Braun and Brock. More fans are much more interested in a Balor Braun match. You can see it from the crowd reactions. You can see it online. We can see it at WrestleZone for sure. What show should EC3 be on? EC3 is a part of the crop of NXT call-ups that were announced about a month and a half ago. I think he would be great on SmackDown. I think on Raw, There's a lot of big personalities there and longer talking segments, which could service him. But the matchups overall, the long run, the week-to-week stuff, seems like they would click a lot better over on SmackDown. Just a lot more people to play with in terms of his personality and what he can do in the ring, what he can do in a tag team, what he could do if he was paired with a female. This seems so much more interesting. EC3, Rey Mysterio. EC3, AJ Styles. AJ Styles wants that match. AJ Styles said it in an interview with me about a month and a half ago before the holiday tour in December that he wanted a match with EC3. And of the guys coming up, he was the one he always wanted to do something with. So I think that'd be more interesting. Let's jump right into more questions here from you guys texting in. Thank you so much for joining us live. If you're just watching the show live on Facebook, this is WrestleZone Daily. We do it Monday through Thursday, sometime late in the afternoon. Today, there was a lot of different issues as to why we didn't go on at 5 p.m. Mike Riggs saying, Kevin, do you see Sasha Banks becoming a 5-time Raw Women's Champion this Sunday at the Royal Rumble in Phoenix? You know what? It could happen. It really, really could happen. I don't think it's as simple as Ronda's going to blast through Sasha and we get Ronda in a big match at WrestleMania. You're still going to get Ronda in a big match at WrestleMania. I don't even need to particularly see a title with that, though it does seem like a lot of the top women's programs are tied to having a championship title. The real test would be, could you do something with her that doesn't involve a championship? That'd be interesting. I'd like to see that. Because the whole thing about her since she got away from the whole Stephanie McMahon angle was she was going to go after a belt, and she got one. And now, couldn't you go after a grudge? Can you go after a personal feud? We'll see. But I see her being tied to the title. I'm leaning right now on Ronda winning. Because she kind of looks like she's on the ropes, but she's always been able to come back in WWE situations, and that's how she's kind of pivoted and talks about being a proud champion all the time. She's a champion. It's one of her favorite words, champion. So there could be something there. Jason Rondon saying Seth is going to be the Beast Slayer. Yeah, a lot of people think Seth Rollins, especially if you have a fiery promo and a solid match this week with Drew McIntyre, is the guy, is the man, all right, for Sunday's men's battle Royal Rumble. So I think Seth is in a really good position here. James Espanto talking about the Universal title match between Balor and Brock Lesnar and saying, would you be okay if Balor won with a little help? I would like to see him win, but I mean, I think defeating Brock Lesnar clean is a special thing. They've only done a handful of times since 2012, 2013. And when you do it, it should be a big deal. Not to say that Royal Rumble isn't the stage to do that on, but I think you can get one more match out of these guys. I think there's already a little bit more here. There's just a good chemistry between the way that Paul Heyman was talking about Balor and all these different things. I'm kind of into it. Johnny Westbrook saying, could Velveteen Dream be a surprise entrant in the Rumble? Or do you think he stays with NXT for a while? This follows up Velveteen Dream on social media saying that he will not work for NXT until his value is addressed. All right, and playing up and stirring up the people, playing with the people here. And he's been very testy on social media. He's worn stuff like Vince, call me up on his tights at takeovers and stuff like that. I could see him being a surprise entrant, but I think Velveteen Dream is a guy whose character lends itself to the vignettes, the grandeur, the purple smoke, the I'm better than all this. That character really could be a hit, not right out of the box, but soon out of the box on Raw or SmackDown. And a big way to bring him up would be to kind of build that up for a while with videos and different ways of storytelling and stuff like that, and build to it, not just here you go. I think it would be a little bit surprising to do that, but people love Royal Rumble surprises. You're going to get surprises at the Royal Rumble on Sunday. They haven't announced all the spots, so you're going to get some. Let's get into a question here from Carl Ludick. Brock versus Finn will be a great match, better than Brock versus Braun. Like I've been talking about, I think there's a lot here. Not a lot of buzz for the NXT takeover this weekend. You know what? I kind of agree with you. There has not been a lot of chatter. We haven't seen it on the WrestleZone side, though we do have this week's NXT episode to get there, which is taped. It's in the can. We'll see what happens. They do have some sharp matches on there. I think Gargano and Aleister Black should move the needle, but I'm surprised that we don't have more people, talk about that. While other people say that NXT TakeOver will blow the house down. On these big quarterly pay-per-views, the big four, they call them, right? You get the TakeOver from NXT the night before, and then you get SummerSlam or WrestleMania or the other big shows the next night. And a lot of people will say the TakeOver is sometimes better. Hardcore fans will say that. This is one of those weekends where I really feel Royal Rumble feels like a bigger show on paper and has some exciting matches. I haven't gotten to Styles versus Daniel Bryan. They've had incredible matches on TV the last few months and have had a really strong feud. It was quiet last week, but it stayed steady. I'm still interested in it. I think there was other things they had to kind of service more on last week's SmackDown. I think the SmackDown's going to be on air tonight will be a bigger part of it. Let's roll through some more questions here. Jake the Snake in the Royal Rumble match. That'll be surprising. They do like to call back a couple legends. Jake has talked about being in there before. I got to open up for Jake the Snake. I do stand-up comedy. I got to open up for him 3-4 years ago. Really good dude. Really, really fun guy. Good to see one of his live storytelling shows go. Johnny Udanovich, the man who started the spark that would be the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble, the fast food Royal Rumble. He says the latest episode of ROH at the 2300 Arena, Silas Young versus Beer City Bruiser, had a match worthy of an arena. Silas Young, whew, what an underrated guy. Just a bruiser, just a legit bruiser. Looks like a guy who your dad would want to hang out with and that you would want to hang out with when your dad hangs out with him. He just calls himself the last real man, just a legit guy. Look up his stuff. It's pretty solid. Some people thinking that Ronda is going to hold that Raw Women's title until Mania. People also expecting Batista for a return. Batista teasing on Twitter recently that you ain't seen nothing yet, responding to WWE wishing him a happy birthday recently. And that would be interesting. That would be quite the move. Thank you. You're awesome, buddy. Thanks for the text and the support and everything like that. Royal Rumble prediction for match of the night. It's a stacked show. You got the Royal Rumbles themselves. Those are the attractions. But you have actually two really, really great men's title matches for both the WWE Championship and the Universal Championship. Styles versus Bryan, and then Balor versus Brock. And then you have the two women's matches. I mean, overall, it's a stacked card. A really, really stacked card. This is like why I'm okay with some 4-hour pay-per-views, especially when you have those Rumbles and those big entrances. But what will be the match of the night? I really think the men's Rumble. I think the men's Rumble is just always the thing you want to see that gives you the most ooh and ah and tells the most stories all in one sweet, big package. Not a little package, it's a big one. Let's jump right in another one here. Where's my next question? Kevin, who do you think is going to win the ladies tag team championships? The women's tag team championship for Ray Bryan will be decided at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view in just 3 weeks. These pay-per-views are right on top of each other. And everyone says there's too many. Well, this is what it's worth, man. You're running a network now. It's not like a pay-per-view model. They're running their own Netflix here. So what keeps you paying your $10 a month is now the model, not, hey, we need you to buy these individual shows every single month. You stay with us and all these different things we offer in this one stream of content that is the WWE Network. So who wins them, though? Interesting. A lot of people have already theorized that this could be a situation for the Bella Twins to come back and want to get those titles. I think they're in the mix. They at least got to be in the discussion of having a comeback just for these. A lot of people think the Boss Hug connection. If Sasha Banks doesn't leave Sunday with the title, could her and Bayley be on a run for those belts? Other people have said, why don't you just put her on some heels? Give someone to chase them right away into WrestleMania season. And you go with Nia Jax and Tamina, the mute Tamina. There's a lot of different directions you can go, and there's a lot more teams than people think. The Iconics, I haven't even mentioned them. So there's just a lot there. I want to see the pieces come together. And teams that if I had to put the tag belts on somebody tomorrow, I would go with Bayley and Sasha. Two big stars. I know they had their big angle has kind of just dissipated, if you will. But I would say for sure that Sasha and Bayley would be the way to go. They're really big stars. They connect with the audience again in a good way. And there's just something fun about the idea of just two big individual talents just going there. So fun times here. All right, cool. We have some interviews lined up. I'm getting messages right now, which is pretty sweet. We'll be talking to some stars from Impact Wrestling later this week. I literally just got the news. That's what you hear the dings are about. And we'll be talking to Taya Valkyrie and Eli Drake from Impact Wrestling. You guys checking it out on Friday nights on Twitch? Let me know what you think. So that's coming up on the podcast later this week. Gargano versus Ricochet and Ciampa versus Black at TakeOver. Yes, solid matches up top. Like I mentioned, I just don't see the buzz. People have been talking about that. I don't see the buzz. Nishad Jiwa saying, any news on the Royal Rumble Axxess tournament? So this is going to be taped for a 1 hour special. When it's going to air, I don't know. This is called the When Worlds Collide tournament, and this will be taking place at the Royal Rumble Fan Axxess, I believe, Friday through Saturday or Thursday through Saturday. And this is a fan convention in the Phoenix area in conjunction with NXT TakeOver and the Royal Rumble on Sunday at Chase Field. And it'll pit guys from 205 Live, NXT UK, and NXT, with the winner getting a shot at a championship, one of those three divisions, however they so choose. I guess we're going to get highlights of all that with a final. And when that'll air, I don't know. But it's interesting. I like how they're kind of treating those, the other brands as something where they can intermingle a lot. Also interesting that the NXT UK guys are included in that. I don't know how many of those guys will maybe be in the Rumble on Sunday. Maybe be done. Who knows? Jason Rodon saying, can't wait to see pics of the Rumble setup. Yes, we will have them. We have some. We have a look inside Chase Field. So we'll have that up at WrestleZone.com in just a little bit. Shout out from Louisiana. Wonderful wrestling town. New Orleans, quite the host of WrestleMania. Got to go last year. Quite a good time. Steve Chambers saying Kevin Owens will win his Rumble prediction. How are you guys going to do the Rumble? How do you guys do the Rumble? Do you guys do the Rumble pool with your friends? Do you do the beer drinking game with like the labels on it? Oh, there's so many different ways to play along with the Rumble. How you guys doing it? Let me know. Chime in. But I want to tell you about the big, silly, ridiculous thing we are doing at WrestleZone on the Sunday afternoon of WrestleMania. It's the fast food Royal Rumble. You better get ready to yumble. It's the Royal Rumble. It is quite ridiculous, man. It is quite a ridiculous thing here that we are doing. And I can just tell you, I'm real pumped for this. I'm really, really pumped for this. We're going to do it at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Me and Robert DeFios, who's usually with me on the show, we're going to stream it live. It'll be all of your favorite fast food mascots in one ring, a deep fried fight to the finish to see who will be the champion. Yes, the champion of edible brand supremacy. And it's just a joke. It's not an ad. Some people have asked us. It is not an advertisement. Yes. So a lot of ridiculous stuff that we have planned for it here. Let's get right into it here. Please don't do those Bella hoes. They don't want the hoes. Don't call them hoes. Grow up. People talking about avoid the Noid. Yes, the Noid from Domino's will be there. He will be in the fast food Royal Rumble this Sunday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, streaming at WrestleZone.com for free. That's right. You don't have to pay for this. That's right. It's like extra French fries at the bottom of the bag, baby. You don't have to worry about it. I'll let you guys go. SmackDown is starting now. I hope you guys have a good one. Join us for the Fast Food Royal Rumble this Sunday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern. All right. And it's all at WrestleZone.com. I'm repeating myself. It's time to go. Yes. Who will win it all? Will it be McDonald's, Burger King, Sonic? Do we have any representation from Sonic? No. Chick-fil-A? Yes, Dave. Texting in. 2 Chick-fil-A cows will compete. Cows. We have bears. All right. We have the Coca-Cola Bears will be there. We have leprechauns from Lucky Charms. That's right. Cereals are in this. It's going to be nuts. You better be there for the WrestleZone Fast Food Royal Rumble. Oh, yeah. Enjoy wrestling, guys. Almost forgot that. Have a good one.